right, allowed to operate freely inside the United States, spewing communist propaganda all throughout the United States of America. This State Department, President Trump's State Department, is taking action against that. This is a president who understands that the Chinese Communist Party and globalists here in the United States have worked together to put real harm and real risk here to the United States. President Trump's not going to permit that to continue to happen.
The one person that I would say is more right than anybody in the world about China, we learned this with the coronavirus, Mr. Secretary Donald Trump, and I don't think that any of his sons got a sweetheart $1.5 billion deal with Bank of China in a field of endeavor that they didn't know much about. You went to back to the United
Hello, Cobra.
Hey, what's going on, Remy?
What's going all right? And so, so how's life treating you? Are you living the life?
Yeah, man, living the life, you know.
Just you're living the. As long as you're vertical, you're okay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, in my part of the world, it's been in over here in Hilltop Studios. The weather has been agreeable, you know, and you know the senoritas wearing their shorts and summer dresses at this time is very satisfying. But one of the things we're going to be talking about is about drummers of all time, and which is cool. And I just want to, like I said, wanting to go ahead and say, like I mentioned before, friends of ours, which of course Heaven on Earth Restaurant, which I've been there before off of Interstate 5 in Azalea, Oregon, and some of the best cinnamon buns and slab of butter, and of course my friends at Acreage Holdings, best CBD and THC products. No one takes care of you like the botanist. And so, what is going on in the world today? What have you seen, heard, and witnessed, Mr. Cobra?
Well, everybody's talking about this COVID-19 pandemic, how it's starting to spike again, and you know it's getting crazy again, and they want to shut everything down again.
Mm. Well, you know the thing about it is that the weird thing is that, you know, it seems to be affecting everyone in the world except for Russia. What's up with that? You know, well, I'm not saying, you know, they don't have it, but I don't think it's as widespread. And so it'll be interesting to see, you know, a year from now where we're at. Well, you know, economically, a lot of these countries, where they're gonna be at economically. Will there be a cure or a vaccine for this? And I remember I was talking to this gentleman who actually works in the hospital, says that the COVID virus has more than likely already mutated, you know, so it's kind of changing somewhat. So it's you know, it's pretty interesting that that, you know, if that's occurred, and he's somewhat of an expert. He hasn't had it as of yet, but he did say, you know, that that's probably what's going to happen if it hasn't happened already. So come, was it October, November, whenever flu season is, it'll be interesting, the numbers, you know. Driving into Hilltop Studios today, I was listening to some Billy Squire. You like Billy?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening "In the Dark" by Billy Squire. You know, he's someone who, I really, you know, I hadn't listened to in a while. It's just I was listening to my iTunes radio, Arena Rock, and and it came, you know, a lot of these songs just came back. It's like I forgot about that guy, or if I, you know, about this group, and yeah, Billy Squire, you know, driving to Hilltop Studios, and you know, other than the stroke, you know, which is his well-known song, but I mean, he's got others, and he's one of those artists that was very popular back in the was it 80s? Yeah, back when I grew up.
Yeah.
Uh, so if we were to go into your car, your automobile, your motorcycle, or whatever you're driving, what would be on the Sirius XM or your iTunes or on your CD player? What would you have?
What would I have on mine?
Yeah, you were to turn
Yeah,
on your
I
car.
think you know the answer to this, man. It's all about Metallica for me, man. You know, it's just
Metallica. Yes, yes, Metallica. So your day begins and ends with Metallica.
well, it's either Metallica or it's Queensryche or Motley Crue or something like that. You know, something. I like fast cars and I have a fast car, so you gotta have some kind of fast music to go along with that car. You know.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to the we discussed this the other day. When it comes to Motley Crue, I've seen Motley Crue twice. Back when he first toured with the makeup, Shout at the Devil,
Hmm.
and then the second time, oh my God, it's like over 5 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that, and maybe even 10. It was that the Carnival tour or something like
Yeah.
one of those tours, and it was different, because they didn't have the makeup on their face anymore. So, but they had more material to work with. It was a good show. We're discussing about guitarists and you know Mick Mars is I think he makes the band. He gives it that sound. Well, I mean, I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mick Mars is one of those underrated guitarists. And the guy can play.
Right, right.
And if you look back at the history of the band, he's the one that gave them the name Motley Crue.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what? Okay, Motley. What's the definition of Motley? Is it like
Well,
a?
the story behind it is that he was in a few bands before, and things didn't work out. And
Mhm.
one day he said that he was going to have a band, and he was going to call it Motley Crue.
Okay.
So that's how they came up with that name.
Okay. So Molly is Molly like an explosion of colors or something? I don't know.
I have no idea what it,
Yeah, I mean
it
that.
was like kind of like crew, like like a CREW, like
Yeah,
regular crew. But he
yeah.
changed the spelling of it, and we got what we've been enjoying for all these years, and that's their music. So
So okay, so basically it's like a you given more of an edgy crew.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
CRE
yeah,
is more edgy. Yeah,
yeah.
more rougher. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
So it
hmm,
all started with them guys. My it was Tommy Lee and Nikki, and this guy answered an ad in the paper. They contacted him, and sure enough, there's another guitarist that they chased away, and it was just Mick, and then they got Vince Neil as a vocalist.
hmm.
So
Yeah. Is there a story where I don't know if it was Kevin DeBro from Quiet Riot or if it was Motley Crue? Didn't they meet Randy Rhodes at one time?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, because there was that they had gotten drunk and up in a tree or something like that. They were partying, they're drinking and everything. So that was that's pretty interesting. That story is true, but yeah, that's what's going down. Of course, we're trying to talk about current events, but we seem not to be able to get away from the rock music. Seem as though that apparently we are not self-proclaimed, but a lot of people consider us the rock experts. Deservedly so, deservedly so. But uh, but yeah, no, it's as far as what's going on, as far as the pandemic, what they call, what I'm going to do now that the stores have seemed to have gotten not as restrictive with certain things, and I think right now is a time to kind of double up on certain things like toilet paper. You need to stock that away.
Uh,
You
I
know,
mean, it's either like you said, it's going to be interesting to see what happens because this so-called pandemic um, it could just be a sham, or it could be something that gets totally out of control.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy about it, so.
Well, a lot of people, certain people believe that this was man-made. You know, so they believe it was man-made, and it was created in a lab, and it was like 4 miles away from a wet market, which of course that's where they have all the what is it? Well, animals that are slaughtered, and I mean they sell everything in those wet markets, and so it was 4 miles away from a place that's very not very clean, very unsanitary, and so they seem to think it was kind of let loose there. So, but I think I'm going to go with what Geddy Lee says. He says Geddy says to trust the science. So although you may think it inhibits your freedoms or anything like that, I think just play it smart. In the meantime, just don't be don't be looking for any kind of trouble. Just play it smart, and eventually hopefully this thing will eventually go away, not on its own, but of course through medicine. And
Right.
so that's my thinking anyway. You got to just be as they say, you just have to be aware of your surroundings. So yeah, that's what people should think. We're going to certain places anyway, but as of right now, it seems like the world is doing fine without sports. You got no NBA, no NFL, no Major League Baseball. So it's interesting that uh, uh, these athletes that make all this money, they're not as important as the American trucker, as the American farmer.
Yeah.
These people that are putting out, that put food on the table, and other products. Those are right now. Those people are gold right now. So
Yeah, but you do got to give a little bit of credit to some of those athletes that have been donating money, to having keeping people fed, donating to food banks and
yeah,
all these other charities that they're donating to have people, at least people that are out of work, they
yeah,
have something to eat, and a little bit of cash to take care and hopefully pay their mortgage or
right.
their rent payment so they won't be homeless.
No, true, yeah. I mean, that's all they can do.
Yeah.
That's all they can do. So,
It's good to see that that they're just not some guy that makes this ridiculous amount of money just because they throw football or baseball or bounce a ball
yeah,
up and down a court or something like that.
hmm
They actually do care about the community, and they do give
hmm
back. So you got to give them props for that.
yeah. No, deservedly so, deservedly so. But on today's broadcast here, the podcast, we were going to discuss maybe at a later date when sometime later on this week we'll discuss maybe bass players, maybe guitar players, musicians, maybe female fans or something. But today we're going to discuss drummers, and not just any drummers, but drummers of all time. So in rock and roll. Now there's other drummers, in jazz and pop music and stuff like that. I mean, I know of some, Steve Gadd, who some people consider one of the best drummers in any genre. But he's mainly jazz. But right now we're gonna stick with the rock and roll music, because of course we are the well, we are not the self-proclaimed experts, but many people believe that we are. Okay, so so according to the experts, yes, we are the experts on rock music. So for right now, we are going to go with Cobra's picks when it comes to this. And let me see here. And let's take a look here. And at number five, the number 5 pick of all time, according to Cobra, is none other than Mr. Tommy Lee. Wow. Tommy Lee. Tell me about him.
Tommy Lee, drummer for Motley Crue, married to, he was married to Pamela Anderson.
Who wasn't? Who wasn't?
Yeah, through that. I mean, this guy, he's a performer. He's a showstopper. He has these little contraptions that he goes on. The whole drum kit. It's like a roller coaster ride that he plays on. So I mean, you got to be on the top 5 if you can get on some kind of contraption like that and continue to play the drums the way he does. I mean, that's...
Well, I mean, when it comes to Tommy Lee, he's when I first saw him, on videos and stuff like that, even the concert, I said, well, this guy can twirl the sticks pretty well, but no, I mean, he's good for the band. He's a very good drummer for that band. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, can you put him in another band and have him, play? That's another thing we need to discuss one day is, kind of customizing certain, band members, like, getting rid of Adrian Smith and adding Eddie Van Halen to Iron Maiden. Wow, that'd be something, right?
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, but no, Tommy, he's good, for the music that they play. But for me, the one who really gives them the Motley Crue sound is Mick Mars, and so I think Tommy Lee and Mick Mars complement each other very well, and he's a very good pick at number 5 for Cobra. And then going down the list here, and it looks like we're going to go with the one and the only. Tell me who this gentleman is here, sir.
That would be Scott Rockenfield, formerly of Queensryche.
Queensryche. Okay. Yeah, we a friend of ours by the name of Maximum is apparently affiliated with Queensryche.
Yeah, that's right, man.
And how long has Scott been with the band?
I want to say Scott was with the band for a while, into the end of the Jeff Tate era there, before he was replaced by Tyler Torrey as a vocalist.
Mm-hmm.
And they, very solid drummer, very
Mm-hmm.
very upbeat,
Okay. Now, before Queensryche, I mean, has he worked with any other bands or any other projects?
Yeah, I'm not sure what other bands he played with, but with being in Queensryche and their style of music, I mean, he, his drumming, his beats and the rhythm, was spot on. So that's why he's there at number 4.
Okay, number 4, and well, I mean, I've listened to I haven't listened to the latest stuff on Queensryche. I've listened to a lot of the early '80s stuff, but I'm gonna have to get in contact with Maximum, and maybe I can, sneak backstage and listen to him, from afar there. But all right, so that's at number 4, and number 3. Well, not many for Cobra's pick. Number 3. Well, this man, without question, you don't even need to know his name, but from what I understand, he is. They say that no other drummer makes other people do the air drumming other than this person right here.
No, that's Neil Peart there.
Yeah,
late great Neil Peart.
Yeah, I mean, he's something. I mean, first of all, he looks very impressive with that kit that he has right there.
Yeah,
Um, but believe it or not, he uses all of them. He uses nothing. None of that's for show. He uses all of them.
yeah.
Of
That's
course,
he's a solid percussionist there.
yeah. Neil has it going on. He's a lot of the songs that he play. And he's also a lyricist, and but he's got very good technical skills. So I can see why you have him at a solid set three current of all time. So that in itself is just goes to show that how impressive his body of work, and it's like for what is it, like 40 years,
Yeah,
so, and with the same band. So that's and he wasn't
yeah.
even and he
Exactly.
wasn't yeah, he wasn't even the first drummer that they had. So yeah, okay. So that's Neil at number 3, and of course this other gentleman um, rivals him, and some say that he's even better than your pick at number 3. Tell me about this guy.
John Bonham, drummer, the late great John Bonham there played with Led Zeppelin. A lot of hits.
Mhm.
Solid drummer.
All right. Did he when it came to I mean, I listened to a lot of John Bonham. I don't know this because it was in the 70s and part of the
Right.
80s. Um, but his playing for me was he wasn't he was more, how should I say, um, he wasn't like, when it comes to technicality, the tech, the the smooth transitions as a Neil, but
Yeah.
he was more of an instinctive player, right?
Yeah.
And so and his, I mean, I don't know if it was the kit that he had. Maybe if he had, if today if he were still alive with certain drum kits, would that sound for me? I think would probably come out more. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. It was just the era that he played in, and the type of music that Led Zeppelin played too.
mhm.
But yeah, all these advances in technology now with the new drums that they have now. If he would have had that back then, I mean,
Right,
he's up there for number 2. He's not number 2 for just for being a drummer, but
right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's at one time I think, well, he was from England, obviously, but
yeah.
he wasn't he like at one time working construction or something like that. You know, uh,
Yeah, I'm not too sure about his all his background or anything like that, but
mhm.
just the hits, that Led Zeppelin. I mean, that's a legendary band right there. So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, he was instilled already because he wasn't. How should I say? I mean, I don't know if he was, took any kind of music lessons, but I don't think he was. I think he just came in and he just had that. Some people just have, that rhythm within them,
yeah, yeah,
that beat, and so I
yeah,
think he was someone like that, right? And but like I said, with if he would have had, like today's modern drum kits with, better mics on there and all, you'd be able to, be able to listen to the small nuances of his playing,
yeah,
you know. So, but yeah, he's and of course it doesn't hurt when you have Jimmy Page. so, so
yeah,
yeah, he's
yeah,
but he's a he was a good drummer, a very good drummer for the band that he was with, and it just seemed to work very well. But apparently, I mean, he also liked to drink, and that was his downfall. you know. So basically, you know, yeah, it's sad to hear we lost him too early, or you know, the music world did anyway. And of
Right.
course, at number one, Cobra's pick at number one, people. All right. Um, we're gonna, for some of y'all, if y'all have any disagreements with Cobra, you know where to message him. But this is Cobra's number one pick for top drummer, and that would be. Tell me about this guy.
That's Lars Ulrich right there from Metallica.
Mhm. All right, and he's been one of the founding members of Metallica, right?
Yep, him and James Hetfield.
Mm. And so, tell me about his style of drumming.
You know, Lars is, you know, Metallica is, you know, heavy metal, you know, a lot of snare, tom tom, you know, very fast.
Hmm.
A lot of, you know, there's a lot of action, a lot of counts in his drumming.
Okay. Yeah. So before Metallica, did he you know did he play for anybody else?
Before Metallica, I'm not too sure what other bands he played with. I know his dad was a professional tennis player.
Really?
He's yeah, they're Danish.
Okay. Well, yeah, with the
Yeah,
name
so
like Lars, yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, and his influences were Deep Purple. His dad took him to a Deep Purple concert one time, and that's
Okay.
where it all kicked off.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Deep Purple. Yeah. Richie Blackmore. One of the most underrated guitars. And guitarist anyway. But yeah, Lars, you know, his drum kit is pretty, you know, well, I won't say it's, you know, too basic, but considering like, you know, other drummers out there, you know, for him to be in such a mega band, you know, you'd figure he'd have like a mega kit, right? But that's not.
Well, I mean that kit right there. I mean that, you know, that's pretty top of the line kit that he works with there. So you know, that's the battery he uses, the Tama drums there. You know, it's one of the top of the line brands. So
Wow.
might be a basic setup, but I mean he, you know,
I guess it's all,
that's
yeah. It's all in the way you use it, right?
yeah, exactly. It's
That's what
all
Michelle
the,
tells me. It's all in the way you use it, Remy. Then she
yeah.
smiles. So,
I don't know, man.
so okay, yes, ma'am. All right. So,
Yeah.
those are the top 5 drummers of all time for Mr. Cobra, and we appreciate his vast knowledge of rock and roll music, and of course the picks that he's given us to this evening. And of course, now we move into my picks, which some people would consider a bit controversial, but you know, these are my picks, my humble opinion, seeing as though that you know, we are the rock experts, and my humble opinion, which is always right. These are the top 5 in my category, in drumming category, and at number 5 would be Max Weinberg. Very underrated drummer. Not too many people, you know, consider him. He's got a very good technique when it comes to the style of drumming, and the way he holds the sticks, the traditional style. And you know, he's some of these shows with Bruce Springsteen, they can last up to 3 hours. You know. And so, you know, you have to have pretty good cardio to be able to, you know, keep up with that. But you know, he's he's a solid drummer, you know, and basically his technical skills on this, you know, on his drumming are really good. He's not one of the fastest drummers. Okay, as far as speed, not one of the fastest drummers. Remember the race isn't for the fastest, but one who's got longevity. And yeah, I mean, he can change it up really nicely, you know. And so that's my pick at for number 5, Max Weinberg. who is I don't know if he's doing any kind of separate work right now. If he's doing being a studio musician, because I know one time he was the drummer for Conan O'Brien on his show back in the day.
Is that right?
And but no, Max Weinberg, and to my Jewish buddy out there, Max. All right, you're okay. You're all right in my book. So that's Max Weinberg, and
It's
of course,
Glory Days and Born in the USA, and
yeah, and well, actually, one of my favorite songs from of Bruce Springsteen, and I have it on my iTunes. I play it every once in a while. Is "Tunnel of Love." That's a good song. That's a good song. Yeah, Michelle likes it too. Cabrona, See, I have to teach her how to be cool. So she listens. I mean, she's 10 years younger than I am, so she's more of the '90s kind of person.
all right.
See, but back in the '90s, you had crap for music, basically. I mean, what was coming out? Well, for me anyway, you had Nirvana, Pearl Jam.
Yeah, you had all the grunge era.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? I was like, that's the kind of music that you're like, shit, I need to take a bath now. That's ugh. And I'm so glad. I know. I'm so glad that it's over, and hopefully never to be heard from those people again, because it just, the music for me, that kind of music, that grunge era just didn't do it for me. I don't know about you, if
it wasn't all bad, it was just the time, that's
well, that was not a very good time.
That's what was in at that time, so.
Yeah, it didn't last very long, did it?
Nah, it didn't last very long.
Yeah, so
most of them guys OD'd anyway, so
yeah, but now that's actually at that time I think we had Guns N' Roses, didn't we?
Yeah, Guns N' Roses, Metallica were still kicking it back then.
And of course, Def Leppard was still around. Yeah,
Def Leppard, and
and other bands. But this emergence of this grunge music, just I was like, come on, back when we had radio stations, it's like, come on, don't fiddle the airwaves with this crap. But
it's a little different.
Yeah, so but like I said, that time is gone, and hopefully to me never be heard of again. This type of music, the grunge era. Anyway, so and at number 3, Mr. Alex Van Halen, classically trained pianist. Him and his brother, coming from Deutschland. They both, studied music, piano, and they were like really, really good. So he had that music background, music theory, and everything they teach you, particularly in being classically trained. You understand the music, a lot better. And so, I mean, his drumming is he's very complete. Okay, he's got to keep the beat for his brother to do what he does and shrieks in the guitar, right? And that's what a drummer does. He's got to keep the beat, and he does it very well. Very, once again, smooth transition. And then, the drums that he uses, and, the amplification that he has in there, just, it even gives it somewhat like of a tubular effect, with some of this music. But he's a solid drummer. And but he's getting a bit long in tooth, so I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to play, seeing as though that him and of course Edward, stories have been coming out that he's battling cancer yet again.
Oh.
So I don't know if because without Eddie, that's it. I don't see Alex doing anything, but for right now, for the time that we have him. Hopefully they'll continue to, maybe do one more tour. I saw Van Halen back in 1984, in the '84 tour.
Yeah.
How old were you then? Like 3?
Let's see.
How old are you? Like what?
8.
8? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was. I saw him. I don't forget. Some band opened up for him. Not very. Not a very good band. I got like halfway through the thing of that opening act. But yeah, I
Yeah.
saw him. I saw them with David E. Roth before he left the first time, and
Yeah.
then they did the Sammy Hagar era, right? And they did tours and all that. And then I never saw him with Sammy. And then when David came back to Van Halen, I saw them again. So I've seen him
Yeah.
twice with David and none with Sammy. But he's like I said, Alex is a very good drummer as far as uh, smooth transitions there again, and he's got very good power, and he's like I said, he complements his brother very well. So he's at my number. What's that? Number 3? Was that number 4?
Yeah. It's number 4.
Okay. You know what? I got my okay. So actually, Alex is supposed to be at number 3.
Nombre, dude.
I know I'm messing it up. Okay, so actually at number 4 is Gina Shock from the Go Go's. Everything up, guy. Hey, I give when it comes to this woman, she can play drums. To be in the era of what were they? They were new wave, kind of like a punk, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And I mean, she's once again, not too many people consider her a great musician. But the thing about it is that I think it's because she's a woman. So she's a woman. You don't give her that credit, right? But she has the
Yeah, especially back in the day, like when Go-Go's were, as the Go-Go's and the Bengals were the other group.
Yeah, the Bengals, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the Bengals came out a few years later than the Go-Go's.
Yeah.
So yeah, at one time, I mean, the Go-Go's were getting too much respect, but now for a lot of younger artists, particularly females, they look at a group like this and like, hey, if they did it back then, why can't I do it now? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but no, Gina Shock, like I said, she's a good drummer for the band that she's with, and she's earned her spot at number 4. Alex is supposed to be number 3. So, but no, Gina Shock, I give her much praise because for not just being a woman, but being a pioneer person in a woman's band. That also that takes a lot. So for Ms. Gina Shock, much respect. And of course, at number 2, we have once again Neil Peart.
Yep.
That's my pick. Neil Peart at number 2. I at one time, I thought the best drummer in the world is Neil, but then I started listening to some other drummers, and then there was an interview where he said, he goes that when he was growing up, he was a big Who fan, and he was a big fan of Keith Moon, and for Neil to say that, I was like, wow, let me listen to his, to Neil. I mean, I'm sorry, to Keith Moon, and so that's someone who inspired him. One of the people inspired him. I know he was also inspired by Buddy Rich. Even during the time when Neil was probably in his mid 50s, something like that, where he decided, you know what, he decided that he needed to change his drumming technique. Okay, this is a man or a musician who was already, you know, he had been multiple times drummer of the year from Drummer Magazine, year after year after year after year. I'm not kidding. You look him up on Wikipedia, consecutive, you know, and it got to a point that, you know, he just basically took himself out because, you know, it's like, you know, you need to give the other drummers, this recognition. So he basically took himself out of the, you know, drummer of the year because it was just ridiculous, you know.
Yeah.
So he decided he went with Freddie Gruber, a drummer. Not many people know about. He's also an instructor, to change his style of grip, you know.
Mhm.
And so for someone to say when his well, for someone in the best in the world, many people consider, to say, hey, I still need to change something about me, right? And from all things, it's not changing your hair color or your haircut. It's not changing your shoes or your style of clothing, right? You're changing something that pertains to your livelihood, right? Something that people will notice, you know, and it involves this. What if you mess up? What if whatever you do to change your style of play, you know, invokes a certain reaction where it's like, man, you hear Neil? He sounds terrible. But he took a chance that, you know, he needed to improve, and improve he did. And you know, he took his play to another level. And one of the concerts that I've been to, where I've seen him, which is I've seen him 13 times, was when I never heard him say this in a concert. Getty, he goes, Neil had just finished doing a drum solo, and Getty gets back on stage and he says, the professor of the drums, you know. So that was pretty cool to hear, you know, for his own friend to acknowledge him that, hey, you know, he's, you know, one of the best. And so
It's
at
all
number,
about, you know, him working on his style. You know, it's all about mastery. You know,
yeah,
that's his instrument.
mhm,
You know, you want to be the best. You gotta, you know, you gotta evolve. You gotta,
right,
you know, work on other stuff. You know, work on your technique, whatever it is that's gonna help you master your craft.
true, and you know, for him to, you know, take a chance on that, and it really did, you know, it was a seamless thing. You really didn't, you know, unless you have a really good, you know, ear, you could see the nuances of what he changed, you know, and it just made it, you know, that much more appealing, you know, on vinyl or in CD, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Mr. Neil Elwood Peart at number 2 for Remy.
Oh.
Elwood, yeah, no, he's not part of the Blues Brothers. But
All
yeah, but yeah, Neil Elwood Peart. Yeah.
right.
And at number 2, the man who inspired Neil somewhat in rock and roll, Mr. Keith Moon. Now, Keith Moon and John Bonham, who I don't have in my top 5, Bonham. This is the, you know, as far as, um, you know, who would if I had to have a drummer, you know, insanely, you know, just an insane drummer who at times would actually pass out in concerts because, you know, just exhaustion. He took things to, you know, to another level.
Yeah.
With Keith Moon, the thing with him is that he had like he was quick. He was an instinctual drummer, you know. He was quick, but it seemed like he had um, he was, you know, some of it was a little rough, but it was contained, and he was smoother than, well, his style of play, and maybe, you know, and it was during that era. His style of play, his sound was for me a bit more smoother than Bonham during the same era. Okay, so, and he was one of the people that revolutionized, how drums should be played. So, and of course, he's a product of Canada, just like Neil. So apparently, Canada produces great drummers.
Hmm.
Maybe it's the Maplewoods or something. Well, actually, no. Yeah,
Maybe it's the Crown Royal.
yeah, Crown Royal. Well, actually, no. You know what? Actually, no. Keith is actually from England, but the Who is from Canada, or
Mhm.
and of course, he was backed up by Peter Townsend and Entwistle, the bass player, which we will visit bass players in the coming days ahead or weeks. But so those are the top five for Cobra just a little while ago, and for myself, Remy. And so I think overall, I mean, I think our picks are pretty good, and now if other people have their
Pretty
life.
solid picks, man. We covered pretty much different eras there of drummers, from
Yeah,
70s all the way up to the present time. So
yeah, yeah. Well, when it comes to when it comes to knowing your rock, well, I think coming to us, people asking us these questions, I think that's a they entrust us with rock and roll music because we are, after all, the experts in rock and roll. From I've been told anyway, and
yeah,
let me see here. And so we've already done according to the experts here. So anyway, so tonight I don't know if tonight I will be listening to what I'll be listening to tonight. Like I said, I came into Hilltop listening to some Billy Squire. Who knows what I'll listen to? Maybe some Journey. See, I'm an '80s guy, you know. So I don't know what I'll be leaving to.
some of
Uh,
that Steve Perry, huh?
yeah, well, you know what? It's not so much Steve Perry, which but it's the guitar playing of Neil Sean. You know,
Uh,
yeah, Steve has a great voice. He really does. He has um like a R&B voice. You know, and so he's a really good singer. But for me, him and Neil complement each other. Um, and Neil was playing guitar as a teenager for Santana. You know,
mhm.
not many people too. I don't know if any people know that. Probably do if they read the history. But yeah, he was a prodigy, and thankfully we still have him today. Where so many of the artists in the back era, they seem to be dropping like flies. So let's see what day or what will when we'll discuss guitar players. When we'll discuss bass players, and who knows, maybe even female groupies. I don't know, but
Oh, vocalist,
what was that?
vocalist.
Vocalist. Oh, that's right. Well, vocalist. That's great. Yeah, there's a couple of vocalists that I think deserve a mention. And I think you said one of your honorable mentions and your top five was Phil Collins.
Phil Collins, yeah, man. Genesis.
Yeah.
You even got Mike Tyson in that movie Hangover where he says, "I like that part where he does that drum solo."
Okay.
Yeah, so
All right. Uh,
and you got from a different genre, you got Jonathan Moffett, the drummer for Michael Jackson for many years. They call him the Sugarfoot.
Sugarfoot. All
Very
right.
solid, very solid technique. More of a groove.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, keeping the beats and all that.
Yeah. Did he
The
play?
Michael Jackson.
Did he play the Thriller album?
I believe so. Yeah,
Okay.
you can look him up on YouTube. He's got he plays them songs and everything. So
Wow.
Smooth Criminal.
Right. Right. Well, that's a good song.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Well, we need to one day we need to come up with I don't know, we'll do a top 5 or top 10 of how we can implement certain change up the lineup when it comes to certain bands. Kind move them around a bit. Well, what that sound like? That's something I don't know if too many people delve into, but it's kind of like what if Kirk Hammett were to play with Van Halen, or what if, or what if Stevie Nicks were to sing with Iron Maiden? Wow,
There you go.
you never know. You never know, so that's something we can really delve into, and I think it'd be a lot of fun for not just you and myself, but everyone else in social media watching us. So, well, listen. Mr. Cobra Commander, I want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak to you from afar, and like I said, I'll probably go in and listen. Who knows what I'll listen to on my drive out, but I'm sure it'll be good. And who knows? I probably have to pop open a Blue Moon beer. Those are pretty good if you ever tried it. It has the Valencia citrus peels in it. Yeah. That's a good tasting beer. All right. Well, to everyone out there, I want to thank you all for joining myself and Cobra, and we'll probably be back. Hey, we'll be we'll probably be back sometime this week. Of course, time permitting, but stay in tune, and we'll come back. All right. See y'all later. Peace.
All right.